for this campaign, this is a good opportunity also to incorporate some of the other tactics that you all use out there. In fact, as GM Vault showed, having a reference sheet like this can help you plan out your adventures. Coffee Cat, if you want to roll a die, especially a D20, it's either 1D20 or 2D20. Well, thank you for that, Journeyman. Yeah, reflex, will, and fortitude. Oh, well, thank you. That means I'll have to step up my Facebook game on the store then, because the Twitter updates as the Facebook is updated. And so it's really only the Facebook that updates and it spills over to Twitter, but I've kept the store separate from the Twitch channel because I wasn't sure how I'd want to integrate the two. I definitely talk about the store, but I don't want it to seem like I'm doing this as a commercial for the store. Does that make that makes sense to you, Journeyman? I'm sure. Look, you do trades and art and other stuff on your channel. It's just, what's the proper balance? Because I don't want to come across as disingenuous or that I'm doing this for monetary, for like the pure goal of monetary gain, where I'm just out here and I'm trying to like dupe you all into buying PHBs from me or something along those lines. Yes, I own a store. Yes, that's an aspect of who I am and what I do. But I want to be careful in how I marry the two concepts together of the stream and what we do as a community and the retail operation on the side. Well, see, that's part of it too. Because as you all support this channel through bits and subscriptions, I've gone on and I've tried to pass that down to others in other ways who've stepped up and have been a part of the community. So, for instance, Ivalon is running a lot of content for people on Roll20. And so I forwarded a payment to keep his Roll20 account at a greater tier so that he can use more of the tools that are available on it. Journeyman, but at the same time, people like myself that knows you want to help you, and at the end of the day, your store is you. Well, you know what, Journeyman, maybe if you're open to it sometime, maybe I can pick your brain a little bit about how to have a good blend. How do we pineapple pen this concept together? Elsie says, yeah, you want to make sure that the level of advertising is almost as low as the prices of your new range of mint condition board games available this week. Yeah, right? Yep. That's... What am I doing laughing? This is serious business. This is D&D. And there's only one way to run D&D, and it's serious. And if you're not serious about this game, then you are a filthy normie casual and get out of here. No conversation at the D&D table. Some condensation from that cold water. Jermaine, please do. You have my email or DM through Twitter, Discord, etc. I want to help you any way I can. Thank you very much on that journey. I do not have your... Oh, it's on your channel? Okay, I'll pop by your channel. In fact, I should probably hop over into your Discord as well. I know Discord's kind of giving you some fits or whatnot. Is that... What, if you think that's an efficient way, I'll do so. Otherwise, if your contact info is on your front page, man, I'll be sure to pop over there and take a look at it. Um, I would like this channel to continue to grow. I would like it to grow organically, and I would like it to grow in a meaningful fashion. That's right, memory lapse. Your job as a PC is to sit in the chair, follow my orders, and roll the dice I tell you to roll. And then if I get results that I don't like, I'm just going to re-roll and inflict the results on you. Twitter's easiest, honestly. All right. I'll see what I can do then, man. Or do Journey do private messages through Twitch? Does that work for you too? Alzy, I had to intervene on Facebook the other day because someone was being mocked for playing a furry character. I was like, Chow, we're tough around here. We only play make-believe about whimsical elves and hobbits, bro. Nice, Alzy. I see what you did there, and I approve. Okay, thank you, Journeyman. It's great when we can put minds together and really, to help out and to go from there. Because look, for any of you who are rather recent here, Journeyman was the first person to raid the channel with, geez, you brought 35 people or so. It was a big amount. You brought a large amount of people to the channel, and this was after like I've been only doing this for a month or so. And all of you, please check out Journeyman. Ivlon, can you post up a shout out to his channel? He gives you excellent, not just art advice, like real life advice. Journeyman's been through. Well, look at the name, a journeyman. Someone who is training, someone who is improving, someone who's going through a process to be a better, more skilled person. And Journey over here has, he's been through some stuff. He has excellent experience to share. And, whether or not, you look at his art, listen to his words. Or if you don't like his words, look at his art. But no, seriously, he is, he's a really cool dude. And I fully endorse you going over and saying, being a part of his community too. Journeyman says, at the end of the day, you and I are the same. We're not in this for us. We're in it to grow together. Yep, huge raid hype, Alzy. J-Man is baller. I agree, Coffee Cat. Thank you for the shout out to him, Ivlon. Yeah, go smash that follow button. Smash, 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 smash. Oh, I completely know that, Journeyman. I don't have I'd say I don't have a command for it, but I have a polite request for Ivlon to put a link over to you. Because networking is a part of this. Twitch is social media. Roger has a +9 to pimpin'. So it's no laughing at the table. What are you doing? No fun allowed. That's right. Ivlon keeps that smash hand strong. Yep. Quietly roll your dice. Inform me of the result. No cheating. Because I don't trust you as my PC, so I'll actually just hawk over your rolls. And I will add it also. And if your number doesn't match my number, then I will be upset. And you may ask yourself, well, why do we even bother showing up if you're just going to plan all this out anyway? And the answer is because I'm your DM, and therefore intrinsically you have to do everything I say, and I am the best thing at this table. That's right. There's no fun in D&D. It is social media, but there's some negativity on Twitch, and finding peeps that share your same mindset is very rare. Thank you, Journeyman, for that. It's, it's refreshing. It is very refreshing to hear that. At the same time, when you or others come in and say, wow, I've never, this is a breath of fresh air, or I didn't know Twitch had a space like this. A part of me also is kind of disappointed. Like, really? I get that Twitch is, the model is not for this kind of activity, I guess. It's difficult to put in the way that I want to put it, at least on the fly. I think you understand what I'm getting at, but I'm happy to hear that, and at the same time, I'm like, oh, but I wish that this wasn't a standout exception. Your conductor hat, says Pat. Coffee Cat, there are some pretty solid people here, gotta say that. Alzy, speaking of no fun, I heard this horror story recently of a guy who runs Living Greyhawk, and he hates rogues so much that he specifically builds his adventures to kill them. Wow. Yeah, I mean, talk about no fun. Like, are you not imaginative enough to, include this? Now this is coming from a guy, by the way, who says that I don't allow for bags of holding, I don't allow for multiple dimensions or like alternate planes or whatever. But there's a point when it's more spiteful than it is for logistical or creative reasons. But then you're just like, oh, okay, so the world is just anti-crime and capital punishment is the way to handle petty theft. Journeyman, I've been here for 3 years, and it's a standout exception. Well, Journey, hey, hit the rock, bro. Ready? Let's make it explode on 3. I'm trusting you. 3. Well, okay, I said on 3. 1, 2, 3. All of you can get on this too. All of us, come on, fist bump right here. One more time. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Alzy, that is true. Alternate planes do not exist in my homebrew world. That includes extra dimensional spaces and resurrections and that sort of shenaniganery. Hey, Karma, there we go. There's one. And I'll put my hoof over here. Mike says, I will say I really want to try out the monstrous races for 5e. It converted every monster in the 5e monster manual into a player race. Coffee Cat, other planes don't exist in my world either, so far as I can tell. Alzy has unfollowed and unsubbed, but you know what, Alzy? By doing so, you followed your heart, and that is what this place is about. Mike says some races are weird to think of as a race, for example, Tarask. But I like the Mind Flayers and other races like that. Did I go into the story about how Did I tell you all the story about the Mind Flayers that were breeding people for cattle, effectively? It seems like I did, or I should have. Journeyman, see, the peeps I circulate with know who's full of crap. And at me, just knowing that Karma the Goat is a good sign, you have no idea. Journey, Karma is awesome, and I think you saw this. It was like the first night or so that she was lurking in the channel, and we made that halfling, kind of that bad boy, gravelly voiced singer. She went out of her way to draw a portrait of how she conceptualized this character to be, and she uploaded it on Discord for people to look at and enjoy, like at no prompting. And I mean that was I was so happy. and there's other artists in here who do the same thing, and there's others who may not be the best at drawing, but they tell stories or they tell jokes or they bring their own experiences to the table. And with Karma and so many others, and Journeyman, with you being a part of this community too, I it only confirms further that I am doing something right. If I am able to help attract and draw together so many different people from different parts of the U.S. and the world, because we have people as a part of this channel from Denmark and Belgium and in Spain, Argentina, etc., that we're drawing them together and people can laugh and have fun and be human beings without all that other stuff, all that separates us. It's the right thing. King says, I've had my brain scraped clean several times. Even before that, you said, why would you have to tell us about mind flayers? They're always hurting us for cattle. Oh, well, in specific, it was part of a campaign where the party kind of accidentally stumbled across a colony of mind flayers who were keeping... They effectively bred humanoids in a way that they were like cattle. Like, they were not taught language. They were not taught, philosophy, concepts. They were kept effectively as animals. And they were selectively bred for various traits. And the whole point of that in the campaign, because it wasn't a main focus point, it wasn't go defeat the evil mind flayers. It was, wow, you accidentally stumbled across them. It was to make the players wonder, it was a moral challenge. Is this good? Is this evil? They raise people to eat. And at the same time, the mind flayers do that because they said, we don't want to get adventurers down here because we keep having to kidnap people or enslave them. So a while ago, yes, people were taken. But after that, they've been groomed and raised and bred in such a way that the mind flayers just have a self-supplying colony of humans. And they humanoids, I should say. And they take great care of the humanoids. They live in a controlled environment. They're fed regularly. They're able to reproduce. And then when the time comes, they are humanely dispatched by the eating their brain. And the cycle continues. So it was an interesting moral point to run, especially because the party had somewhere else to be. So they couldn't really linger. They just saw this, they got an idea for it, and then time to move along, and I'll let you chew on that as a DM to a PC. Journeyman says, Karma the goat is my spirit animal. Aw. Had my brain scraped. Okay, so we're catching up on that. Alzy says, a mind flayer who runs a trauma center that scrapes memories would be interesting. That is an interesting idea, Alzy. Mike the Canadian, interesting ideas there, Alzy. I mean, that's basically the GIF. Journeyman says, dude, the biggest lie on Twitch is that numbers mean everything, and that's BS. Numbers are people. Yep, and if you're taking care of your people, then the numbers will take care of you in response, Journeyman. I would like to get to the point where I go from affiliate to partner. That is a goal. But that's also why I emphasized when I asked if I could pick your brain, speaking of mind flayers, if I could pick your brain, is because as I grow and I want to grow the channel from affiliate to partner, I do that not just for me, I want to do it for everyone involved here, to help highlight who we are and our mentality and our attitude and what we're doing here. But I want to make sure that it's not forced growth. I want to make sure it's organic. I want to make sure that every broadcast session, are we getting some more people involved? Are we intriguing more? Are we getting more followers? And yes, the subscriptions and the bits do help out, because that money is going to be going to buy some webcams and some other things, so that maybe I can do a little bit extra programming on the side. Programming, like I'll broadcasting. Oh yeah, and when the Gith rebelled against the Mind Flayers. Pat, sounds like a vampire game I came across but never played. Journeyman, value people, not numbers. Yep. Journeyman. Mike, what I find interesting is that mind flayers are similar to cattle, as the elder brain, if there is one, has control over the mind flayers. Oh, yeah, Mike. We're supposedly, I guess we're planning a campaign or something tonight. Hey, just as what Journeyman was talking about, you all in conversation in chat over here. This is why this channel's going right here. Yes, we'll work on content right up here. Yeah, planning things? What are we talking about, planning things? King says establish a mutual mind flayer human society where we are willingly eaten at a certain age. It would just be like some sort of Thunderdome, right? Everyone exists, and then once you hit age 30, you get your brain eaten. Roger wants to inflict a disease on his villagers. All right. There you go, King. It's a perfect foolproof system. Mike, as this idea is really revving you up here, and you are hinting, so, Arc 1. As we are going to plan for a low-level campaign, and we'll do it in 3 different arcs. Mike, I want you to throw out what is going to be the goal of the campaign. Are we going to stop the spread of a disease like what Roger's talking about? Is there a big bad evil guy that needs to go down? Is there a moral conundrum? Or is there eventually a some sort of an apocalypse to prevent? All right, Journey. Yeah, I look forward to that. Not that I'm trying to deflect away, because the conversation we're having here, the conversations here have to happen. And I do not want it another way around. I'm not here to lecture to people as much as I get up on a soapbox. I'm not here to just lecture and say, guys, do what I want to do. I want to make a campaign. Stop talking. It's the conversation that matters. King, give us psionic brain Ethernet. And of course, you have the copper piece package, you have the silver piece package, you have the gold piece package, and then of course the mind flayers. The mind flayers have a platinum piece package for your psychic internet. Mike says, free a people who are unknowingly enslaved by their religious hierarchy. Okay. So the goal, just as you do for a dungeon, right? So here, when I came up with the concept, real quick, pen on paper and use pen and not pencil, because you shouldn't be allowed to erase things that you consider to be mistakes. They could be a mistake, and if it is, you cross it out. Otherwise, that ink represents permanence, and you should consider it was an idea. Consider the idea, work it into something, and if it doesn't work, put in the effort to cross it out or move it off to the side somehow. So, just as a dungeon has a purpose, a dungeon is an encapsulated story, especially the one we did last night. One sentence: discover the source of the aberrations washing out of the mountain. Just as you said, Mike, free a people who are unknowingly enslaved by their religious hierarchy. And that's what we'll do. Paisley, I'm all about the campaign creation. I need to think about this for my current and first campaign. Roger's down with cults. Alzy, but also decide if freeing them is a good idea. Yes, this is a perfect opportunity to introduce a moral conundrum. Pat says, I just created a Twitch thread in my Roll20 community and placed a link to this page in that thread. Oh, Pat, thank you. Their enslavement might also mean there's no crime, suffering, etc. Yeah, and so the players can the players can make that decision. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Well, it might not even need to be hidden. It could just be what's been happening out in this neck of the woods. Oh, Pat, dude, thank you very much for that. And I'll tell you this, you know, Pat, anyone else out there, and I know you're joking about it, Alzy, with unsubscribing or whatever. As I do this, as I broadcast, it is my philosophy to earn your attention, your respect, your follows, or any other subscriptions or bits or whatever that you decide to, however you decide to interact with the channel. If I do not earn those aspects, I do not want you to feel obligated to continue. So, Pat, if I suddenly go off the rails and you think I've become, you know, some toxic monster who doesn't, I'm doing things in some weird way, I want you to remove that link. Alzy, if I ever do actually, offend you or piss you off, I want you to unsubscribe, unfollow, or any of that. If I do not deserve your respect or your attention or affection or whatever else, then I do not earn it. I'm not here to beg. I'm here to earn. Mike says, yeah, they might be living much higher standards of living, but with the freedom they will lose. So if they're free of that. Almost like a Borg situation, isn't it, Mike? Roger says, maybe they're sending stuff to people's dreams somehow. Paisy, it's hidden in the sense you use the word unknowingly. Why don't people know it's an enslavement? Mike says, because to the people, this order is protecting them from something that's much more dangerous. Now I'm kind of getting a Resident Evil 4 feeling. Alzy, maybe they're baptized in the water as a psionic bacteria. Almost like a midichlorian, Alzy. At least that's what they say, Mike. Alright, so when you're plotting out a campaign, Paisy, Mike, doing something like this, bold at the top of your page, everything you do, even if it's a wobbling course, should still proceed to this end. The goal or the point of the story, in this case, is we're going to free a people who are unknowingly enslaved by the religious hierarchy. And even if your campaign goes off the rails, it is still going to travel in the direction you want it to go, which takes a ton of pressure off of you as a DM. Pat says, I will tell you my opinion about your words and actions first to give you a chance to change or explain it, but I do not think you will get toxic or such. Your cat will not allow it. That's true. If I get, I don't know, if he's very empathic, and if I get on like a tirade or if I'm really feeling grumpy, because look, we all get those days, he's the type who'll hop up and he'll start kneading and go, hey, bro, it's cool, man. Come on, just let it happen. One guy to another. Look, I'm just going to knead on your stomach a little bit. You need this. Saying I wrote midichlorians, now you're really trying to offend me. Good sir. Oh, it does the same, Pat. And thank you for your patience, and too, like, if I do go off the rails, Pat, be like, dude, bro, chief, pal, buddy, guy. Paisy, I like the bacteria idea. Perhaps it's explained as giving something positive, but it's unknowingly also taking from them. Since RE4 was mentioned, it also means that the villagers can be activated for combat purposes. Well, there we go. I think we're getting some good ideas here. So this could go in a slightly kind of spooky horror route. But ultimately, it's still a moral conundrum. Well, at least more than it was in Resident Evil 4. That one, you just kind of shoot your way through to the end. All right, if this is the case, Arc 1. We can give it a snazzy title if we want, but again, if we're keeping goals in mind, this is Arrival and Investigation. Mike says, I like the idea there's no actual magic forcing these people to serve the order. I like the idea that the organization has been so ingrained in people's lives that even without good reason, they still defend it as it's always been their way and the people are happy. Pat says, if you go off the rails, I will talk you to you in private through Discord in the form of DMs. I'm used to dealing with things of that nature. Yeah. Look, with any community, even like a moderator or a leader or something, sometimes things happen. And it's great to have people out there who will act as a break or a check or some kind of a, hey, do you need to just take a walk? Do you need to just not broadcast for a little while and kind of simmer down from what happened? Simmer down now. Now, some things to keep in mind, and this is meta knowledge as a DM. If you want to go through and make some kind of note, kind of like what you see over here that GM's Vault does for his players. You see where he notes the players' ACs and their hit point values and some other information over here. Well, what you can do, you know, at this level, you might have you might make some quick notes as you're planning. And you put average AC equals, I don't know, we'll just say 15. Average hit points. Let's see, at level 1, I don't know, let's be generous and say a D8 and then like a +1 con mod. So the average hit points is going to be 9 for your players. This means going forward, as you're planning encounters or, you know, diseases or traps or monsters, if you have some of these in mind, you won't accidentally slaughter everyone because you're like, oh, I thought you had more hit points than this. Well, now we're showing awareness. We're paying attention to our party. We're not being a helicopter DM. You know, we're being useful and helpful, and we're using this as a guide. Roger says one of the classic setups with this sort of thing is the y'all gotta sacrifice someone or someone's somehow to something every so often. Alzy says, what's a cult without a nice sacrifice now and again? Their god is actually a hungry lich, perhaps. So King is the big bad evil guy of the party or the campaign. Paisy, Mike's idea makes me think about a threat that was real in the past. The order protected them from something that was real in exchange for servitude, but now that there's no threat, they continue to serve because they're told it'll be coming back. As the players are from outside this area, they'll know that the danger is gone. But how do you convince people otherwise, right? Alzy, I feel like liches shouldn't have to look like spooky skeletons. They're powerful mages. They should be able to make themselves look beautiful if they want. King, you're getting some body positivity from Alzy. All right, if that's the case, and we want to go with this, and by the way, this could be an interesting concept. It was brought up above. What if the players are actually somehow reincarnations? You're lichiful, no matter what they say. No spells can bring you down. Random idea. Sacrifice villagers become werewolves. Werewolves are the weapons against something worse. Which could be gone now, but might not. Oh? We'll see if we can work it in. Now, how you want to open up your campaign? There's several different ways. The party is fully formed and functional. They're from an outside area. And they're here to trade goods. They're here on a mission from a church. Or you can do something called in media res, which is we open up with action. The players don't know that until you drop it on them. You say, hey, welcome to the campaign. Do you have your character sheets out? Excellent. Roll for initiative. And you explain that they're being chased down a road by, well, I don't know, werewolves or something if you want. As a DM, think about the tone that you want to set. If you want mysterious and you think it works, actually, I think, was it you, Roger, who suggested that they all kind of wake up because they've been reincarnated? So if that's the case, then they all wake up and they're, I don't know, they're all naked in the middle of the woods. Something might have happened where they don't keep their memories like reincarnation does. And they stumble towards the closest thing that seems like a village. And so survival is keeping them together. Now, if your players want to have fully developed characters before then they're coming into town to trade, or again, they're on a mission, or they're just passing by and suddenly they're getting chased. Kroger, yo. Roger, yeah, I ripped that out of Altered. Okay. They're different, Paisy. And look, I mean, I'll kind of pick and choose as we make this skeleton, this outline of a campaign. But a lot of these can be substituted. All right, so level 1, we'll do the chase. The concept for level 1. Basic chase scene. Some fighting. Description of the world around the PCs. Can introduce some combat elements and even a skill challenge to warm up the players. Ends with the arrival at the village of Bixley. Bixley is the village name from the dungeon that we did last night. Unfavorable and holy quest, Mike. Okay. Alzi, this is for building fun, for ideas, for conversation. Pat started games with combat. King says, I like the idea of a meta system that perhaps is obscured by naming purposes and the full effects aren't listed by the players. And this meta system is something like different ranks of purity that helps them ward against some outside threat, but secretly makes them easier to control to the Elzy religion. That does remind me, King, there are optional rules in the DMG for things like madness or honor, which is its own point system. And you as a DM could decide to incorporate that into what we're doing here. It has been mentioned, Paisy, and that is a known. I guess you could say that's a known issue. Um, but it comes down to I'm open for that, Paisy. It comes down to then how do I balance, at least with the normal broadcasting slot, how do I balance content creation and generation with presentation and play? And if I can work that out, then I am more open to doing that. As it is, I'm very cautious because our creativity is a staple of the channel and what has drawn everyone here so far. And I want to make sure that I can still maintain that as a core. So I'm open-minded for solutions. Don't get me wrong. But oh, coffee you use madness? Alright. Alright. So we've arrived in the village of Bixley. Something's going on because something has chased our PCs. And now it's time to explore. You know, the village has welcomed us with open arms. Maybe a little too open, maybe a little too nice, as is being discussed over here. And by the way, Paisy, I appreciate you being bold and saying the suggestions that you did. I appreciate that. Yvonne says it might be fun to make a chat character and run through the adventure with votes from the chat. I don't know how would the logistics of that work. Again, I'm open-minded, but I guess it's just the ability to follow through is where I am personally lacking. Alright, so level 2, something is off. Presuming that the stats are the same, I mean, do you have to put average AC and hit points or whatever after every section? No. But something is off now. So here's our concept. The village is nice and welcoming. And the party sees elements of the strange religion woven through all aspects of life. Something must happen to keep the party from moving on quickly. Now, you could do something like a storm blew out the mountain pass. Or, oh, you're good guys. You know, I have a daughter who is sick, and there's a certain medicinal herb that grows in the forest. can you go get it? Because we're not allowed to go into the forest. All of a sudden, you're like, wait, you can't go into the forest? Why? Oh, it's full of bad things. You know, like the bad things you're talking about over here that probably don't exist anymore. Or because they were able to fight off whatever was chasing them, it's full of those. And I figured, well, if you could fight them off, then can you go in, get in, get out. And so this is going to obligate the party, hopefully, to repay the kindness that the villagers have shown, and now go back and face the beast or beasts that was chasing them. Now, unfortunately for the party, this is going to be kind of a sneaking mission early on. Right? You got to sneak through the woods. Can you infiltrate without drawing the aggro of the creatures that we're following? Or, do you want to run it as a skill challenge? You can run it as combat if you want. Oh, sorry, I missed a little bit of chat here as I was imagining this playing out in my noggin here. I'm imagining this as one of those kind of overlay picturesque southern towns where everyone wants to make you an apple pie and talk about Jesus. That's how things like that can start out. Like Children of the Corn stuff, Alzy. I think that would be Discord matter more than it's a Twitch stream. Donald says, yeah, it's incredibly difficult when there's such a delay. Paisy says, oh, actually, you stream for about 4 hours a night, right? If one night a week started as creation from blank for a one-shot, you play with night viewers. Well, that is a plan that I was moving towards, is maybe Tuesday is the play day, and then the other days are creation that could lead up to it. Donald says, and then to get everyone involved, it may require everyone to come to a decision, response, or action. Make the children working at the temple. I think everyone would in some way. King says, apparently I'm running an evil cult now, like Stepford Wives without the social commentary. Alzy, what if the children haven't been or can't be indoctrinated, and one of them comes to the PCs for help? That could be the unravel, right? That's the single string that you tug at that will then unravel everything else. Derek, hello. Pat is suggesting owlbears. Paisy says, Journeyman, it's why I'm not thinking of a campaign, but expanding the dungeon creation content into showing how that works with players. Mike's and Roll20, something light and fun. Alzy, yes, new campaign, all owlbears all the time. It is just a pure owlbear streaming channel. Journeyman, yeah, that's the hard part, is the logistics. Yes, Journeyman. Derek, oh, that's right. Yeah, you were running. How did Miss Rose like your presentation? How did that go, Derek? Mike says, well, even if the people don't work in the temples, they would still work with the church, either working in the field to help or the yield or guarding marketplaces. I remember the meme of different DCs. The 35 DC role was scheduling a regular D&D campaign. Consistency is the last boss of D&D. Anything but Tuesday. I work Monday to Wednesday and watch on the ride home. No, I got you, Paisy. These are all things, as I take these steps, I will put it out for your all's input. So don't worry. I'm definitely not going to be making any sudden changes to the channel. Please believe me, Paisy. Even if it causes you to go, but come on. I'll get there. Derek says she's recovering. Pacey wants to be ferrets in the next campaign. Have a good stream, Matt. Gotta go try to sleep. All right, Journeyman, thank you for coming by and saying hi and giving advice. I will talk to you off stream about, you know, quality of life improvements, that kind of a thing. I'll pick your brain a little bit if you don't mind a mind flayer, kind of just gnawing on you. Have an awesome night, man. So that's the concept. This can incorporate investigation, socialization. I misspelled that. Stealth and perhaps some combat. Ends with the party returning back to the village with the item. But something has changed. Yeah, exploration. Now, as I write these are milestones broadly. If you want to go through and break them up into several tasks and assign experience points, you can do that as well. Also, that doesn't, this little paragraph in each of these levels doesn't imply it's going to be a level a night. It could if you really want to run it that way. But you might have to do several steps along the way to get to the point at which you've earned that milestone or enough experience in order to level up. Hey, it has been a little while, fan. It's good to see you. Welcome back. Pat, the stealth is going to suck with the current group. Yes, that is true. And that could be, you know, they could have to be creative, or how are you going to deal with it? And that's part of the challenge. Eltron, I'm back, taking a break from working on the tenets for paladins that worship the deity that you're working on. Yeah, that was your kind of, like a Voltron-esque deity, Eltron? Hi, Bubonic. So now we come to level 3, and this is the end of an arc. This is also where, you know, this is where they would have gotten, like, so look, this is level 1 to 2. This is 2 to 3. Now that they're level 3, all of them should have their archetype by now. And this is where we can now include kind of a mini boss or a big reveal or a revelation of some kind. And going off the ideas that you all were throwing out there, hey, Paisley, yeah, they're your female half-orc druid now. One of us. Concept: the villagers have been summoned to the primary temple to welcome the new additions to the community, namely the children of age that have gone through the baptism ceremony. The party will watch the ceremony and have the events of the village peeled back a bit further. after a child who has found a way to avoid the baptism asks them for help as outsiders. Hi, Zerby. Good to see you again. And Mike is going on a Who Goes There? Street. You're calling out my bots. Man, chicken. Well, I don't know. Would my bot yell that out? Maybe. This is going to be a moral conundrum. As well as an ongoing mystery. Karma, what does your using to type everything autosave? I'm using OpenOffice Writer. Hey, Zerby. Oh, does it autosave? I do believe it does, Karma. This level, you can run in several different ways then, if we're going to keep with the sentiment we have over here. Sometimes just a good old-fashioned RP session, or several, can still earn you experience and can still level you up. Here, as the DM, you're going to start peeling back a little bit of the mystery. In fact, maybe your PCs are going to find out that they were sent out into the forest for, to get out of the way so that they could perform the ceremony. Because nothing stops the ceremony. But the villagers might say, oh yeah, go out and get this so that they can get it done before the villagers come back and see what's happened. If you want to run a combat or a social interaction, you can do so here. Although, don't be afraid sometimes to just have everyone turn their pages over and it is a pure roleplay session. Everything is narrative. Now, if they want to do something high risk, high reward, kind of like what Ivalon was getting at, yeah, you might need to roll stealth if they want to try and roll up and, stealth on the, in the Temple of Doom and Kalima. Oh, did you win a Plains Paisy? Is Ivalon or Darkwolf on? Darkwolf must have, Ivalon and Darkwolf have both disappeared. Okay, let me get your EXP then, Paisy. Random Plains, you need 75. There you go. Mike takes on a bandit gang. 5 and 19. You have disadvantage. So unfortunately, the bandit gang kidnaps Mike. He might need to be rescued. LibreOffice does and OpenOffice does, but it's not set up as default that I know of, says Pat. Mike narrates his harrowing adventure of banditry. King, here's the real question. What do we do if they just don't bite any of these hooks or are entirely fine with this isolated weird cult in the middle of nowhere? I don't know. They leave or they join. They don't have to do anything. If no one is on, then I'll postpone my adventures. No, it's not necessarily a problem, Paisy. It might just be a No, if you're rolling, if you want to roll through it, let me know, and I can. If you're winning, just make sure you let me know, and I can pop over and give you some EXP. So now Arc 1 has been completed, right? We had a fight, we had a skill challenge. You know, everything seems fine, and then suddenly we learn it's not so fine, and everyone hits level 4. Derek, you're currently unwinding any pulses down. Is that a good? Is that like, we're not talking like you got heated and things are bad, or like are you talking like, yes, this is peak performance and I'm just emitting the natural heat of peak performance? So now that we have finished arrival and investigation, we come over here, and this is perhaps infiltration. Paisy, I've taken to RPing some chat responses when I watch smaller roleplay streams. DM's players can't resist that. Paisy, yeah, and if you want to roleplay in here too, you are welcome to do so. This is very friendly for that. And you know what? It's good energy, it creates a lot of fun, and it's thematic. Plus, it's good practice. Emotional investment, yep. Oh, Clementine. Oh, Clementine. All right, so we've gone through this, and now we've leveled up. Congratulations, you hit your ASI, and you're level 4. The child meets with the group afterwards and explains a bit more in a less hurried tone about what is happening. The child asks the party to help. Kind of like what you're talking about, Alzi. As the party thinks on it, the child ends up going missing. Now, how does the party go about recovering the child or acting on the request without upsetting the locals? This is a social and investigation themed part. As well, there can be combat as the first of a few aberrations wash up in the village and must be fought off. Now, what this is going to do, there's something weird going on. Yet, if the village is faced with adversity, such as these aberrations that are coming out of the mountain stream that runs through or past the village, they'll see that the village gets together and puts down threats. The village coordinates. They'll get to see what happens when the villagers are tested. And that can act as a warning or to cast a little bit of a shadow of doubt on these people. Yes, something weird is happening, but these people look out after each other. In fact, you can even set it up that a child who was, I don't know, fishing in the mountain stream is attacked. And the villagers protect their children fiercely because they are their children. And so now you're setting a bit of a moral conundrum. Well, something's happened to this kid. Is this kid, well, I'd say an aberration, but I don't know, is he? But what's happening here? And so you can throw in a little bit of combat as well as these investigative and role-playing skills. It is a pure stroke of random luck, Paisy, that we have a village named the Village of Bixley settled in a mountainous area that might happen to have a castle atop it that is producing aberrations. Crimson, I need some help. I'm trying to create a scenario where my party is traveling down a jungle river. How do I make this interesting and not just a 10-minute quick encounter, then have the party arrive? Alright, so Crimson, do you want them being chased? Do you want there to be a combat? What would you like to have happen, Crimson? I am very happy to help you out, as there are others here who may also be able to give you advice. That's an interesting. So King, that's an interesting thing to do, right? You know, as a kid is born, then the adult just lives eternally by placing their brain in the child. That would be a very cool concept. And that, you know, whether we're going for the bacterial, the bacterial indoctrination, so it's not magic, or if we want to do something along those lines, King, where it's some sort of cult of life, where these brains just continue on in new bodies that are made. That seems to be the case, Plunder. Derek said he has to cool off here. And in that Miss Rose was... Did she like the session? This leads to the prompt to go to the dungeon. Oh, castle / dungeon. Level 5. Dungeon! This is the dungeon that we made last night together, right? And now, if we're putting this sort of context on here, now we may know what is going on in here. In fact, if they're even saying, yeah, there's some bandits, we don't mind them, whatever, we're just simple villagers. Well, one of the bandits might have done or tinkered with something up here that they still ought not have done. Maybe it's had a repercussion and it's come down the line somehow. We can provide content here for what's happening inside the dungeon. This could lead to a further clue about how the village operates. Perhaps they implant adult brains into children. Perhaps it's some kind of curse or disease. Psionics? This is the midpoint of the campaign. This is a very good linchpin moment. What do you want to reveal in the dungeon as they go up there and they find, yes, there's outsiders. And these outsiders don't seem to interact with the village. And why is that? Well, because in this case, the village is a bunch of the quote-unquote weirdos. Crimson says, not chased, but I'd like them to feel like they're being watched, maybe even attacked, while still on their boat. But they can't see through the jungle at what's attacking them. I want them to get off the boat for the encounter thinking the boat is dangerous, but actually the jungle is much more. I was thinking giving the players exhaustion for every day they travel on foot instead of the boat. Also, the setting is on Chult, and their destination is to confront the leader of a Yuan-Ti tribe. Something that you can do, Crimson, and this is coming from personal experience. I don't need this anymore. When you set up your map, here's your river. What you do is you cut out a raft or a barge on a piece of paper that you want, right? You know, if it's like 1-inch squares or something, and then you can put a little pilot house or something here. So this is its own grid, and then you populate that grid with your PCs. Then what you have, right? So over here, there's like a bunch of bushes and things for people to, you know, to hide behind in between. Whoops. And of course, you can make some trees and some other things, right? It's a jungle. You do the same thing here. Now, what you can do as they have to navigate the river, and as was pointed out, maybe there's rapids, maybe there's stones, you can populate miniatures or just conceptualize that you have these tribes people here. But what you can have happen, because the battle platform on the barge it's still fixed for movement if that's concerning you. But if they hit a rock, you can suddenly take this loose piece of paper, even though it's on a vinyl grid all around here, and you can have it drift and turn and tumble through the river. And that makes for a very dynamic scouting and or combat. And you don't have to worry about ranges or movement because you have a grid on a grid. And so you'll just pick up this, you know, this, and you'll twist it around. You'll have it bonk back and forth between the banks. Or you might have a crew member or a party member with like a 10-foot barge pole trying to keep them in the middle of the river, even though you're twisting and turning them. And so what you do is you move the barge down the river this way, and then once we get to the end, you pick up the barge and you put it back on your map, and you keep cycling it over as much as you want. And so now you've created a dynamic moving platform on top of a meandering jungle river. And as it turns, especially if you do things like add a little pilot house, like back here, if the front of the boat twists down this way, if it twists down this way, all of a sudden, you know, this pilot house or this luggage or something can either provide cover from attacks or can block line of sight going out. And so the players have to be dynamic and always moving on this barge because the barge itself is always moving. Sorry if I'm missing a lot here. Alzi says you might want to check out Ryutama. It's an RPG centered around travel. Creating compelling travel usually is about having interesting side encounters and complications. Okay, that's when we get to exhaustion. Pat is saying transfer the souls from the elders to the young so they can be immortal. Alzi's saying it really is. The real Dorgrim, make the entire journey a 5-room dungeon. There you go. King says, I like the idea of literal brain transfers itself into the child. And then you can make fun monsters like homeless child brains or displaced souls of the last few generations who were sacrificed, who are displaced and need to murder their ancestor to be freed and moved on to the afterlife. They also have to attack the PCs. Because reasons. Also, you can use the Chult random encounter tables, which includes exempts of the encounters that aren't always in combat. Crimson, are you getting some good advice? Hopefully, whether it's mine or someone else's, I hope that we're able to address your concerns and what you need to have going on. So as we go here, dungeon, this could lead to a further clue about how the village operates. Perhaps they implant adult brains into children. Perhaps it's some kind of curse or disease or psionics. So now we've built up, and Mike, I have not... oh, no, I'm sorry. So the last thing I saw from you, Mike, It was a roleplay text that says, raises her rapier into the air and waves it around as if she was conducting. Welcome one and all to the Festival of Days, where you will see true skill today where you will see true skill today and even may perform on these very stages yourself. Now shall anyone step forward and attempt our archery contest? So now we have another sort of mini boss going on. And here, this could be, this isn't going to be like the elder of the church, but this can be come back down, are lauded as heroes of the, of the village. The odd circumstances here come to light and can cause friction. But the adventurers aren't allowed to leave unless they have permission. The child is still missing, and those things that chased them here are still out there. If you wanted to force an encounter, you can have something come up where this elder, but not the leader, is perhaps aggressive, or might actually be seeking to provoke a fight with the PCs. Because if he dies, maybe he thinks that he can get a younger body more quickly. And so what that can be is, so here we have a mid boss fight where an elder provokes a fight and tries to die to force his hand in the organization to be given a new body sooner. This new body may just be the missing child's that was supposed to be converted earlier. Emotional investment. We have a boss fight and someone who, is really looking to provoke and kind of be an agitator, yet someone who could still feasibly be outside the moral guidelines of this weird village. Again, we're creating a bit of an ambiguity here with what's going on. You should be able to do that on Roll20. You just treat it like an object, I think. Well, shoot, I don't know how you'd get the separate grid. King and Dorgrim, I think you two are kind of our local Roll20 people. Is there a way that you could set up a separate 1-inch grid that you can then, grab the corner and spin and move it back and forth on a table? Otherwise, even if you don't use the exact 1-inch grid, you can still represent what's happening, Crimson, and you just go into narrative combat. There's nothing wrong with that either. Oh, a grid on a token? Okay. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, Pat, you were just talking about that too. By the way, Pat, if you want, and you do not have to, there is the title oh, you beat me to it. There it is. Okay. So, well, I don't know if one crit is here, but Pat, I will make sure that these titles get assigned. Yeah, so Crimson, look, if the boat's not big enough where like 30 feet of movement is really going to hamper people, then just have a token and spin the token and just have people narrate where they're standing or where they're moving or if they're hiding behind something. Rescue and decision. So here's the mid boss fight. At level 6. So now we're in the home stretch, right? We're almost finished with this campaign. This fight has occurred, and this has probably caused a bit of a kerfluffle. In fact, if the villagers see that one of their elders, without knowing the circumstances, have been murdered, they actually might be asked to leave, or they might be driven out of town. If that's the case, then the party encounters the things that were chasing them. The things have seen that the party is not in, well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but we'll presume, is not in allegiance to the village. They are actually a rival faction. However you want to say the rival faction. Are they werewolves? Are they outcasts that have had their bodies twisted and torn? Are they displaced souls? Kind of like what King was talking about. Are they displaced souls that seek the end of this cult so that they can finally be put to rest? Whether it's a soul like a ghost that was chasing them, or maybe the ghost, because we're talking about minds and mind transference. They're actually beasts, like sentient beasts that can be inhabited by the minds of these displaced people. But they're actually a rival faction and can help the party in here now that the all the chips are on the table. They're not good at infiltrating intrinsically. So here, because we do want to make sure that they can get in, even if they remember their first like silent moving around and infiltration in the woods, they're like, ooh, that didn't go out, that didn't go over so well. Look, they've grown several levels since then. And they can help the party infiltrate the main compound. This can also lead to saving the last child. So this is socialization, negotiation, maybe even a trial of strength. Again, this is a strong party. Yes, only one person is proficient in athletics, but they're all fairly strong. Maybe even a trial of strength or combat to see if they are now up for the task, since all they could do is run before. They do that. Congratulations, we've hit level 8. Infiltrate the compound with the help of the others. This can effectively be either another dungeon and or a skill challenge to navigate, explore, and fight if necessary. Though the moral ambiguity of the situation should still be reinforced. Wholesale slaughter of a remote people with a different lifestyle should be a weighty option. Mantarok, hello. Sorry, I was narrating out loud. That's a very cute Kirby. Crimson says, and rapids or dangerous water. How can I make that interesting and challenge my players to stay afloat? Either a skill challenge or look, not everyone can fight and shoot arrows or magic beams at your harassers on the bank. Some people will have to try and pilot the ship. I just type grid into Google, find one you like. Yeah, that can work. Mantarok arrives, Dorgrim. You have a map of the boat. Crimson. I can make the grid tiles 10 feet and draw a boat, and I can move the boat and just make my players stay inside the boat. The thing I want to get out of the river itself is to give the players the option to ditch the boat and go on foot or stay on the boat. Well, you're getting some solid advice, Crimson. Oh, it's a small riverboat? Okay. Displaced soul should have a physical manifestation of some sort, like maybe it's the old people's bodies all melded together. Okay, kind of like the that urchin that we made, or the kindergarten. Or the soul becomes tangible and malformed, kind of like stand still, stay silent, troll. There might be some free tokens on Roll20 that would suit you. That could be. King is providing a link. Mantarok, I'm doing well. We're having a great brainstorming session for this campaign. Ambushing the players, giving ranged players disadvantage, forcing them. You know, yeah, if you did that, and you could even do that, Crimson. Look, if it's raining or there's high wind, you could give magic or like maybe magic or especially non-magical ranged disadvantage or something or cover. Does it have a way to affect ghosts? We have a druid, an enchantment wizard. It's a land, druid of the land, or circle of the land. I mean, and a paladin. But the paladin is an oath of the ancients, so it's more about fae and fiends than it is about ghosts and undead. So now we've reached here's the big showdown. What you may want to do here to help your players realize that there's a moral decision. Confrontation between the outsiders, like the outsider creatures, and the head of the village. This hasn't happened before, and words and concepts can be thrown back and forth like a fight itself. The PCs can be given a choice to side with either or neither. You don't always have to expressly say neither. When it finally comes down to blows. Either way, this is going to be a large boss fight, most likely with minions on either side, helping or attacking also. So this is where now everything has built, it's come to a point. Kind of like as King is saying, if it's a shell or like a kind of a creepy, like a manifestation of a child, like, you never gave us a chance. And the leader of the village, who may very well have been the man who took you into his house at level 1 when you were beat up by being chased by these same creatures, he might look at you and appeal to the party and say that, yes, they're cast aside because they were unhealthy, unstable. You know, we can't have people like that in our small remote village. And then they come back and say, but we, you know, then you drop the bomb, but father or grandfather, you know, I thought that I was, that I and others were special. And so you have this back and forth, and it builds and builds and builds, and your party can look back and forth, and eventually it's going to come to blows. Can the party just ditch out of there when the two forces are finally able to confront each other? Sure, they can leave it behind and leave all the villagers to be slaughtered, or all of these like mind urchins to be slaughtered, or something along those lines. They can just ditch. There's nothing saying that you can't just peace out of there, right? You no longer are being babysat. Everyone is being distracted. So you can just go and leave and, you know, whatever. I don't care about the consequences. We got out of there. That is an end to this campaign. Or they can choose a side. Do they choose the villagers who have, you know, questionable but austere practices? Or do they choose with, you know, the poor wretches because they don't want any more of these people being made? There you go. Congratulations. We have a low level, a 9. Okay, well, kind of like it will bring you to level 10, but kind of like a 9 level, fun little campaign that explores a moral conundrum. It has a mix of fights. It has a mix of skill challenges. It has socialization, exploration, mystery, magic, physicality. Bada boom, bada bang. There you go. No problemo. Crimson, I'm glad that you're getting some really solid advice here. Personally, Roll20 is something that is a weakness for me. I'm not very proficient with Roll20, but I'm so happy that a lot of others here have been able to step up and help you there. That's a simple solution, Paisy. By the way, Crimson, make sure you have a nice Wilhelm scream, like if you have a soundboard on your phone or something. When the pilot gets shot in the side and goes overboard, you know that ah. That's a good sound effect. King says just make a good map of all the specific things you want on it. If you're lazy, and just ask your characters if they feel there's any scenery they imagine. Here, actually, we'll put on some nice going down the jungle, getting like, you know, harassed or a battle or something. We'll do this. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break. I need to refresh myself and so forth. When we come back, actually, I'll hand out the Part 3 EXP a little early since we went a little late. Add points, all 40. Thank you for that. You all can continue to hang out here. I'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes, and I don't know. We'll keep talking. This has been an awesome conversation. You all are amazing out there.